Hello.
Hi. It's good to see you.
I know we haven't been on live for what, 1 or 2 days, and I'm missing it.
I know it feels so empty. So it's so good to
A
see you.
hollow life
Right.
without lives.
Just letting you know we are Tiff and Jack. We always have to say that right out of the gate.
Tiff and Jack.
And we're the owners of Thought Tracks Coaching and Healing Incorporated, the founders of Empath Rise and Thrive, which is the #1 energy management containing program. And we are the hosts here today with you on the Energized Empath live show and the Tiff and Jack show podcast.
Wow. Woo. That's a lot to say in one sentence.
And if you're somebody that you've never seen our faces before and you're like, who the F are these two people? We're Tiff and Jack. Jack, Tiff. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And for the rest of you that we know, hi, Carrie. Hi, Jess. Hi, Marilyn. Hi, Bev. Hi, Loves. Hi, Babs. We're so glad that you're here. And
you can see their names.
I can
on your screen. I
can.
can't on here. So
if you give us permission by clicking the permission button through StreamYard, that allows us to see your name on Facebook. This is our live show. So not only are we streaming right here into the Connected Empath Facebook group, we are also live streaming into Tiff's personal page. Hello, if you're joining us from there. And also YouTube. We're streaming live there. This is the show where we come live so that we can answer your burning empath questions and the ones that are just smoldering. They don't have to be burning. But today is our live show. So today we're talking about the dark empath and the Heyoka empath. If that's
Heyoka.
Oh,
it's me.
She did that to me. She did that to me. I'm telling you. She
did
that to me.
Listen, it's called Heyoka, and I have been struggling because of my dyslexic brain. I've been saying Heyoka, and it's Heyoka.
Heyoka.
I think I did a video in our student group today and kept saying Heyoka, and then after I'm like, oh gosh, I did it again. I've actually been really working on it because of my dyslexia. Things go backwards for me a lot, so I'm sure you understand that because many empaths have dyslexia.
Right? So many. It's amazingly shocking.
Crazy.
So huge.
Crazy times.
We just came off of the Energized Empath Lab. Some of you were there. Thank you for joining us there. That was an amazing workshop week where we were together with all empaths from around the world for 9 days.
It was amazing.
It was phenomenal. It was a beautiful, beautiful experience. And it was a joy. So now it's really awesome to be able to get back on live with you again because this feels a little bit like our home. And that's pretty.
Our home in our home.
Our home in our home.
In our home.
Yes. And Lauren, so glad that you're here.
Where we would love to hear where you're from.
Yeah, definitely share. It's always fun for everyone to see and get a feel for where people are connecting with us from. So,
should we just get started?
Yeah, let's get started, and I'll keep my eye on the comment thread.
So one of the most common questions that I am asked, and I have been asked over for many years, is it possible for an empath to also be a narcissist? And the answer is no, it is not possible. And let me tell you why. And then we're going to go in a little bit deeper because I want to talk to you today about something called the dark empath, which could definitely be a trickster to make people think that empaths can be narcissists. And this will really give you a deeper understanding. I love seeing where everyone's from. Thank you so much for sharing.
Africa's in the house.
Awesome.
Alabama. Super cool, isn't it? I think we have
Utah, Canada.
Salt Lake City.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So this is some of the topic. Now, this is not set in stone at this point. Empaths, this is set in stone. The tests have been done. The brain scans have been done. And there is absolute proof that empaths have a different brain than 80% of the world. What that means is the mirror neurons, the empathic center of the brain, is more active than about 80% of this planet. So we feel everything, experience everything, have a deeper, vaster experience. And we also have been very famously known for absorbing other people's thoughts, feelings, and energy. And so empaths have to learn to manage their energy well so that they can stay well. Otherwise, we can absorb so much energy, it can make us sick. So, Jack and I spend our lives teaching empaths how to manage their energy and to create a life they love with their gifted way of being.
And I just have one thing to say about that, because we just came off of our workshop week where we did open up enrollment into Empath Rise and Thrive. And one of the biggest objections that I heard coming from the empaths that took part of the workshop that were considering enrolling and coming into this year-long spiritual healing incubator with Tiff and myself is the objection of, well, when I'm done with this, or I've got this, or I'm in school, or I'm taking care of this person, and I just, I don't have time to do my own healing journey. I just have to wait until I'm not doing these other things. And guess what?
That never comes.
It will never come. And the healing journey that happens when you jump in, specifically with this coaching program, it is a beautiful companion to life. We help empaths find a way to make peace with themselves in their day, no matter what's going on in your day. So I just think it's important that we continue to reiterate that to you, the empath. Your healing journey must start today. This is the day. And the fact that you're joining us here is part of you being on that healing journey to love and accept and align with your true self.
And, knowledge is power. And once you understand these things, it's so much easier to accept yourself as a highly sensitive person. There's just so much to understand about it. But once you do, you get to live this amazingly gifted, empowered life. So I love talking about this. Now, I want to kind of go backwards because I don't want to fragment what I was talking about with empaths having a brain that works differently than 80% of the world. But there are studies being done right now that narcissists may have underactive mirror neurons, which means they don't have the capability of being empathic or feeling for others, that it's all about self. And that's the biggest problem. Now listen, friends, everybody has narcissistic tendencies. That's the human condition. Sometimes we're all just a bunch of assholes. Selfish asses.
The sooner you can accept that about yourself.
That's pretty normal. But when you have the brain disorder of being a narcissist, that's what we're talking about here. And narcissists, they love empaths because empaths will do anything they can to help heal the narcissist. And I'm going to say this, and people may get mad at me, and I'm so sorry about that. But narcissists are not healable. It's kind of like telling you, stop being an empath and acting like an 80%er in the world, where things are just kind of typical or normal. We as empaths are not what I would call typical. We're very different types of people, and we've all tried it. And you can agree, I know, that we've all tried to act like we're not an empath, because most people feel like in the beginning, especially when they don't know what being an empath means, that it feels like being a curse. It's like telling a narcissist to stop being a narcissist and an empath stop being an empath. It doesn't change. So oftentimes narcissists will hang in there in relationships with narcissists where they're being slowly annihilated. And we're trying to give you information so that you know what to look for so you don't fall into that trap. Okay. So we're not talking about narcissists per se today, but we're going to be talking about the type of empath that can appear to be very narcissistic. And that's the first, because we're going to talk about Heyokas as well. And that's the super empath. And then you have the dark empath. So let's talk about the dark empath first, shall we?
We shall.
Is there anything else you want to share?
That sounds really fun. No, not right now.
Okay, my friends. So what is a dark empath? A dark empath is an empath that has a dark side and also has empathy. And they do say, now I can't agree or disagree with this, but with the research and the study that I've done on this, psychologists today say that this is even worse than a narcissist. You get to decide for yourself. Let's talk about the characteristic traits of a dark empath so you can keep your eyeballs open, okay? Because remember, knowledge is power. And once you know about this, you can take a look at it and be aware. Okay. All right. Number one, Dark empaths can't stand to lose. So they'll do whatever it takes to win, whether it's lie, cheat, or steal. They will do that so that they can win. Now, keep in mind that as we're going through all these sound like narcissistic traits, but it's like having narcissistic traits with a compassionate and empathic side when they want to utilize that. Narcissists don't have the ability to have compassion or empathy. They can pretend, and really they're pretty good at pretending. And even narcissists sometimes have some intuitive gifts that they can lean on to find out what people need. But as a dark empath, you'll typically see both sides often, and it can really confuse you. Okay, so they can't stand to lose. Number two, they take advantage of someone's emotions by using manipulation. And what they do is they know how to perceive what someone wants, so they can use that to manipulate to get what it is that they want and take advantage of someone's emotions. That's ugly, right?
That is rough.
So you gotta keep your eyes open to that kind of feeling. And my friends, this is what I would tell you: is pay attention to your gut. If you have a yucky, gross feeling, pay attention and remove yourself from that experience with someone, okay?
Okay, so Bev had a question. Do dark empaths only turn on the compassion and empathy when it benefits them?
100%. 100%.
And there was another comment about being born. I have a friend who has a theory that everyone is born narcissistic, and as you learn and grow, you either grow out of that or you stay in it.
Yeah, I would not agree with that, simply because everyone's born with a kind of a set point in their emotions. So you have narcissism, you have someone that's a sociopath, you have highly sensitive. You can always tell when a child is highly sensitive because they're very sensitive to all their senses. So yeah, that is an interesting theory, but working with people for many, many years and delving into their past and when they're growing up and things like that, I would definitely disagree with that assessment.
Mikala said, I tried to fix a narcissist because I felt for them, but all I got was drained completely and complete loss of self.
Absolutely.
Never again.
Yeah. And again, this isn't about narcissism. It's about the dark empath, but we have to kind of talk about the narcissist a little bit, because people are like, well, can an empath be a narcissist? If you're wondering if there's an empath that's a narcissist, you're probably encountering a dark empath. So number three, secretly, they are wanting to hurt. Secretly or openly, are willing to hurt other people. So they don't care if they're seen or unseen. It's kind of like, if I'm mad at you, I'm going to wish you bad luck, or I'm going to do something that could sabotage something that you're doing. They don't mind hurting other people. Yet you can see them on another day, and they're caring for a bird that has fallen out of a nest, and they're just so worried about the bird. So it can just make you go, oh, okay, there's compassion there, so they can't be a narcissist. So it's okay to be in a relationship with them. And that's where you can kind of get really confused, okay? Number four, they're typically very vindictive, and they want to get even, no matter what that looks like, okay? Vindictive and want to get even. Number five, they don't feel bad when they deceive others because they lie often to get what it is that they want. Okay. And again, you'll see them sometimes be totally honest and upfront. So it can cause confusion for you. Number six, they will only do something if it benefits them. They're extremely selfish. But then they will have times where they will do something that's very compassionate and help another person. And there again, it's like, wait, what's happening? They're not a narcissist, and they really aren't. They're called a dark empath. Okay, number seven, they have a strong desire to influence and be the center of attention. Now, nothing's wrong with wanting to influence or be the center of attention to get your point across. But when it comes along with this next part, which is they want to be in control and make all of the decisions. And if they can't do that, you'll notice there's a lot of agitation or aggression there. Okay. So they're needing to be the center of attention and wanting to be in control and do those types of things will definitely be they'll be doing that so that they can feel like they're in charge. So they feel important because they don't feel important. Someone asked a very interesting question, and I don't have, the other day they asked this during the class. I don't have an absolute answer, but I have a sneaking suspicion. They said, we know that narcissists can't, be healed or fixed from being narcissists, but we do know that, oh, look, we have a frowny face. I wonder if someone's upset
Maybe
with what we're
sad.
saying.
I don't know.
Okay. What was I saying? Oh, the question was, can people that are dark empaths, can they fix that, like be healed? And I think maybe they can, because they do have the ability for empathy. And I think maybe if they get certain type of counseling or help to recognize why they're leaning on that dark side so much, there may be some hope there for the dark empath. I don't know this for sure. I'll have to do some more research into this, but I'll let you know once I figure that one out. Number 8, dark empaths always have an ulterior motive, and they're inauthentic so that they can get what they want. So sometimes they're a chameleon. And that just means that they'll fit to whatever situation it is. They'll be inauthentic. And it's always with that motive of like, okay, if I do it this way, I'll get what it is that I want. Okay, do you believe that people are born dark empaths or become dark empaths through experiences and trauma? Really great question. I think it may be that they are deal with some trauma in their life. I really don't have an answer to that, but I would guess that they probably grow into being a dark empath, because empaths, an empath, there's two ways you come into this world as an empath, or become an empath. Is you're either born this way with just a highly sensitive person, and typically that's genetic. You'll find one or both parents are that. Or you can go through some pretty traumatic experiences that make you hypersensitive to everything around you and become quite empathic that way. Okay.
Right. And Makala said, I had the exact same question because I have some qualities of a dark empath, but I absolutely hate it and want help to not be so negative. And this is where what you're saying could very well be the case, Makala, because what we focus on grows. So if you've been conditioned or grown up in a way where your view or your viewpoint on things or the way you saw things was very, very negative, it will grow and grow and grow. But as you begin to shift that around and start looking for the positive in every day, looking for the positive in yourself, focusing on the good in a day, that also will grow. And then you'll have a new experience with yourself.
Yeah. And, Makala, it's an interesting thing, because the fact that you're like, well, I have some of these dark empath qualities. I think many people do. But the fact that you're like, I absolutely hate it and want to not be so negative, that right there tells me you're not a narcissist, for one thing. And if you do have some of those qualities, you can turn those qualities around. Typically, when you encounter a dark empath, they are very, very intelligent, and they typically know what they're doing and oftentimes don't want to change. And so try not to go too hard on yourself. If you're a willing participant, and we've talked before, so if you're a willing participant and you're like, I really want to change some of my behaviors that don't feel aligned to the truth of who I am, it can be a really positive experience for you. And there's absolute hope for sure. Okay. Okay, number 8. We did that. That's the ulterior motives. And the last one is number 9. Dark empaths are cold and cruel and won't help unless it benefits them. So they can be very cold people and very cruel to others, yet sometimes they can be very compassionate. So it just causes that thing. So these are the things to watch out for, and also pay attention to your gut as an empath. It's a very powerful thing to use your intuition. And so that is the dark empath.
Honey, Amanda, we love you. She said it was me that did the angry face on accident. I was listening while driving. I love you guys, and I love this information. Promise.
I totally believe you.
That's awesome.
You know what? Sometimes I want to hit the I care icon, and I hit the laugh when it's a very serious or like traumatic thing. And then sometimes I'll go back and find that I hit the laugh, and I'm like, God, they need to make these like bigger so your fat thumb syndrome doesn't cause a problem.
Yeah, that was funny.
Okay, Michaela, I'm glad that makes you feel better. Just from talking to you, I definitely would not call you a dark empath. I know that you've had some tendencies of certain things, but you're in a place in life where you're willing to look at those things, and that's a really powerful thing. Believe me, I have some tendencies. I can be such a nasty, mean hag myself. My ego comes out, and I just get all snotty. You can ask Jack. He's usually
I'd
the one
never
that's
agree to that.
And I said, maybe I'm a dark empath. Jack's like,
Oh,
no, you're
babe.
not. So yeah, try not to go so hard on yourself, but keep doing your inner work because it can really enhance your life and the life of the people that you love. Okay, my friends, let's move to the happy topic, which is the Heyoka. Many empaths have not heard of the Heyoka. The Heyoka is the super empath. Heyokas are not super common. They're pretty rare, but they do exist. And I think it's important for you to take yourself through these questions and ask yourself the question or to know if you know anyone that's a Heyoka. Okay. I'm a Heyoka. I don't know if I would want anyone else to be one because it's not always fun. And you'll understand why when I talk about it. And what do you have to say about living with a Heyoka?
It has been a fast track to figuring my shit out.
Why is that?
There is no room. I always say to Tiff, you're very exacting. And
I'm like, what does that mean?
it just means
What does that even mean?
what it means is there's just no room for anything other but than alignment in the way of, so if I say or do something, whatever, Tiff will say, well, what do you mean by that? Or what is your intention when you're saying this or doing that? And it early on when we first came together, I was super codependent in my life, in my relationships. And so everything, whenever she had asked me that question, well, what do you mean when you say this? I took it as a personal attack. I made up the story. It's not that Tiff is being belligerent or mean or like anything. She just is very clear and gets to the bottom of things very, very fast. And because I was such an insecure person, I would freak my shit out and feel totally scared and attacked. And, oh my God, why are you saying that to me? And all she said is like, well, I have a question for you. And I'd lose my shit. So it's been a road. It was the first good many handful of years, I'd say at the beginning, that it's been a road of me working through this. I know for an absolute fact I live with a Heyoka empath. I also know that it's kind of like living in a glass house. Everything is up for conversation. It's just, there's no hiding our my own insecurities or fears or pretending that I feel this way when I don't. You just have to be really honest with myself, with her. And that's what life is like with a Heyoka. And sometimes it sucks ass because it's so intense. Like you have to be vigilant about being willing to see your own shit so that you can show up as an empowered person. And it's not like Tiff is perfect. It's not like she never has a problem or an issue or believes stories or anything like that, but she just has a really keen sense of alignment. And we get there quickly. And that way we've worked through all of our conflicts that we've had over the years in our relationship really fast because I'm totally willing. I'm hell-bent or heaven bent, whatever you want to say, to live aligned and to know and live in my best life and to live out this life really big and have a lot of joy and enjoy a lot of abundance in this life. That means I have to clear all of my limiting beliefs in the process. And the greatest person in my life that assists me to see my own stuff is Tiff, because she's a mirror and a Heyoka is a very crystal clear mirror. And you're not perfect as a Heyoka, but you're really smart.
I have to apologize quite a bit. In fact, I just had to apologize to a student for being so abrupt and coming across as sharp. And I don't like to do that. I really do have to work on it. I'm kind of a bullet points kind of person. And so I can come across as abrupt. And I think I had to apologize to another person this week as well. So I have to work on my own stuff. It's not like, oh, I'm the all-knowing whatever. I have lots of things that I have to work on. And I'm glad that I'm married to a person that can live in the challenging world of the highly sensitive vibration all the time and live with me as a Heyoka. I'm very grateful for that, because there have been so many times over the last 14 years that I'm like, I don't know how you stay. I trigger you so much and you get so upset with me. It's really never my intention, honestly, to be an irritant, but sometimes it comes across that way. So he's very brave. That's all I can say.
I always said that I had no anger before I met Tiff. I thought I was a person that experienced, that I was just a happy person, generally speaking, never angry. That was a lie. I have so much anger in me, and I didn't know how much until I met her.
Wow.
And then I've had to learn how to manage my anger in a very adult-like way. I had to emotionally mature really fast, because I was very emotionally immature when we came into relationship together. And it's been a road. And I think it's really awesome to talk about this, or to speak to this a little bit. So, you know, that, you know, let's get real. Okay. Living with a Heyoka is like someone's pulling out your dirty drawers all day long and being like, what's this? What is this? What does this mean? Why is it this way?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're somebody that really doesn't, you know, either feels really insecure or codependent, or you feel like everyone that says anything to you is blaming you or judging you or pointing out your errors, living with a Heyoka is going to annihilate that part of you. And that's a good thing. It's a hard thing, but it's a good thing.
Yeah. Deanne, I appreciate what you're saying about your wife. She's pretty amazing. So I'm so glad it feels good to you. Okay, sweet friends, let's talk about the characteristic traits. Number 1, Heyoka. A Heyoka person has a hard time sleeping through the night because their thoughts are moving so quick all the time. So they typically will sleep 4 or 5 hours at a time if they're lucky, sometimes less. And then they're waking up with their thoughts churning and churning and churning. This is not always anxiety, and it's not always the most positive experience either, but it's just a very, very active mind. Typically, because of all the things that they research and look at and think about and analyze, they're very, very confident speakers and very insightful, and usually can answer your questions. Okay. Number 2, they're constantly evaluating people and assessing situations because they see the truth. They just can see it, and they really are. It's really important to them to be able to understand people. So they're powerful observers and they are powerful assessors. And they're always evaluating everything. And so they can be very serious people, or sometimes very quiet because they're evaluating things. For instance, when I'm doing a show like this, or I'm in with a client, I'm quite animated. I have a lot of energy and passion, and I love to laugh. Humor is really exciting for me. But when I'm by myself, I'm typically in silence because I need a break from sound and things like that. And when I go to a party, I'm all about having fun and nothing about business. So I kind of break things up. But then sometimes if someone comes to see me and I'm not at work or on a show, I'm very quiet and I just stand there and observe. And then they think something's wrong with me.
Very different.
I'm very different in every setting. And so some people are like, is Tiff okay?
Yeah, that does come up a lot.
Is she? And I'm like, actually, I'm typically reading energy and analyzing absolutely every detail around me. It's very tiring. I wish sometimes I was not this way. I probably spent most of my life wishing I was not this way, simply because it's so tiring and I get misunderstood so much. At this point in life, I just realized being misunderstood is just part of the human condition, and it's totally fine. But for years, I was like, gosh, why am I not so consistent in what people perceive me to be? And now I understand what that's about. So you may find, so Babs is like, you're explaining me to a T. Yes. Okay. So this is really good information for all of you. Number 3, they're very assertive, and they know how they think, and they understand themselves. So their inner work is just a constant part of life for them. So they're quite assertive and typically very direct, and sometimes can be quite abrupt. If you've ever experienced my abruptness, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I have.
I know what she's talking about. It's real. She's not joking.
Oh dear. Number 5, they also live outside of the box. They're not conformers. So they make very good teachers. They make very good entrepreneurs. Businesses typically do really well hiring Heyoka because they can go in and see a lot of things that other people can't see. And it's because they live outside of the box that they can see what's outside. Do you know what I mean? So they're definitely non-conformists. I've tried to conform to things because I thought it would make life easier, and it's literally impossible. Anyone that knows me all of my life can tell you that that is absolutely the truth. I do not live in a box. I live outside the box, and I'm very, very untraditional in a lot of ways. Okay, number 6. They typically have a great sense of humor, and they can introduce happy vibrations to any chaotic situation. It's almost like they can cut through the chaos and bring in this yummy, delicious feeling to help heal the moment. Okay. Number 7. Sometimes, not sometimes, but often they are disliked or hated because they literally cannot adhere or conform or tolerate chaos or drama. It's just not going to happen. So either they get out of the situation really quickly or they go in to begin to heal the situation, and it can upset people deeply, and people can get mad at them and have some ugly feelings towards them. This is probably the most uncomfortable part of being Heyoka. It's just what it is. There's no way around it, because people don't want to see their poor behavior. And your presence as a Heyoka, whether you say anything or not, shows people their poor behavior. You are a mirror for all people around you. Okay, number 8, Heyoka people are extremely compassionate. They wake people up into themselves, into their own personal transformation. So if someone's ready to make the changes in life that they want to make, and someone is ready to heal, and someone is totally ready, a Heyoka is your best friend because they will lovingly assist you in your own personal transformation. I really have the most ideal job because people only come to us when they're ready to heal. Otherwise, I just can go about my business, and I don't feel like I have to go into groups of people and heal people. People show up when they're like, okay, I'm having some issues in life. I need to learn how to manage my energy and do these things. So I'm going to come to you so you can teach me how to do that. And then I get to naturally have this beautiful equal exchange and be able to help people heal. And it's very, very fulfilling. That's why they say Heyoka, they do really great as coaches or teachers or entrepreneurs, where they're in solving problems because they know how to find a solution very, very quickly. It's just an innate natural gift to be a problem solver and have solutions. So it works great. Could you read that?
Is a Heyoka born, or can an empath become a Heyoka when they're more aligned with who they are?
I honestly think a Heyoka is born this way. I think it's a calling, and it's a very serious calling, and it's not an easy calling, but it is a calling. And I do believe that empaths, though, naturally expand in their gifts and become very, very gifted, loving people. So, not being a Heyoka is not negative. I would honestly say if you're not a Heyoka, that's awesome because life is not as challenging. So I do believe that you're born Heyoka and it's a calling. Okay, number 9. You go against the grain because you're self-actualized, and like we were talking about not being a nonconformist, they don't follow others. They have their own way, and they usually lead a group of people. And this is what we tell all of our empaths, is that they have a very specific gift, and there is a group of people on this earth that is waiting for that message from them. And Heyoka is no different. They don't follow the norms. They feel very confident in themselves, so they're kind of trendsetters within their own life experience, whether it's with what they wear or what they teach or what they talk about or how they behave. They're not too concerned about doing what other people are doing, and oftentimes they forget to even think about how other people might feel about what they're doing. So they just kind of do their own thing and help heal people. Okay. And number 10, the last one, Heyoka, they are so good at making sense of things that they can see clearly what needs to be done. We've already talked about this a little bit. They're very influential people, and any business would do well to hire a Heyoka because they can make sense of things other people cannot make sense of. So they can take all this big bunch of chaotic energy and piece it out so they can make sense of things, come up with solutions or problem solve something, or help create new ideas or new things that help things run smoother. They're typically quite intellectual and highly intelligent, and they just have this ability to take all the puzzle pieces and get them into the perfect order so that they can help others, especially in organizations and things like that. So there you have it.
Here's a quick question. Okay. How many people do you think are born this way but never know it? Maybe they've never had the resources or language to learn this. What complications do you think come with being this way but not knowing anything about it?
Oh, this is such a
great question.
Callie, you're so smart. I think when I introduced the Heyoka topic in our workshop this last week, I think almost every empath had never heard of it. And a lot of people have heard of the super empath, but not the Heyoka and what it's called. And it's actually a Native American name. And I believe it means...
Someone said it feels like a battle cry. Interesting,
right? Yeah. Yes. So many empaths that are Heyoka, some of the complications that can come from this is a lot of self-doubt, a lot of self-animosity, so self-hatred, depression, anxiety, all kinds of things, because you're so seriously misunderstood. And that's why we actually are talking about this. We're going to do our podcast on it as well. And so I'm going to talk about this again today because people need to understand and have this knowledge because you have your empaths, you have your dark empaths, and you have your Heyoka. And even people that are just empaths don't know what the characteristic traits. They're like, once they hear about it and we give them our test, it's like, here's a test, take this test, and it'll be able to tell you where you are on the spectrum of empathy. And people are like, I never knew this, and my whole life makes sense. When you don't understand who you are and what happens to you, you're in a state of confusion and a state of depression. The more you learn, the more you understand, all of that lifts off, and then you can finally accept who you are and live within the gifts that those things provide you. Because being an empath, let's just take Heyoka and dark empath off and just talk about being an empath. Being an empath is a gift. It is one of those things where you can experience life to the depth and the fullest. You can feel not just the hardship, but the joy of everything to the depth than most of the world. You can connect with trees and plants and animals and other people and have a deep understanding and empathize and just have the deepest connection you can possibly imagine. There's so many superpowers of the empath. There's so many positive things. But if you don't know you're an empath and you don't understand what it actually means, and that it's not just because you're just too sensitive or just pull up your bootstraps, you're just a big baby, that type of thing, you're just going to feel like something's wrong with you. And nothing is wrong with you as an empath. Nothing. You may feel sad about things. You may have some limiting beliefs that are limiting you from your fullest potential. All those things can be worked out. All you have to do is get the knowledge, and then you become empowered, because knowledge is power.
Yep. And that's why if you aren't a member of Connected Empath, our Facebook group, get there. Okay. Get in that group. If you're somebody that's trying to figure out, am I an empath? Come into the group and just ask Victoria, our moderator, the group manager, for the assessment so that you can fill it out, figure out where you fit on the spectrum. And then this conversation of Heyoka will start to make so much more sense.
I can't see who the Facebook person is, but it's my wife's a Heyoka Empath, and she's known for decades. And her gift was explained by a Native American spiritual elder. That's great.
What we're talking about.
Yeah, that's so great.
Yeah, I wish we knew who you were because we can't see your name, but that is fantastic.
Yeah, if you can type
Find
your name
us,
in.
send us a direct message so we know who you are. That'd be awesome.
Okay, guys, that's our show for today. Is there anything you want to add?
Awesome. No, just that this is great information. Remember, if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, or maybe you feel like, oh, I have tendencies of the dark empath, it's okay. Just start shifting some of your focus around. Look for the good, look for the positive in yourself. And
get over to the Connected Empath if you're not in there.
Come over to the group.
There's tons of trainings in the guides section. I write articles all the time. We just got done with an amazing 9-day workshop that gave so much great information. It's a great place of support for you to come so that you can have that support in a community with like-minded people. Man, that is so awesome just in itself, is that you're there with a whole bunch of other empaths, so they feel and think the same way that you do. And it's just so helpful.
Hi, Amy Zieber. It's always nice to see you here.
I wish I could hug you.
Leona, Carrie, Luann.
So good to see all of you.
Sean, Victoria. We're so glad. Babs, Luann. Thanks all of you for being here with us today. It's amazing to see you. Lauren, all of you have a really beautiful day. Know that we'll be back here again next week with another titillating conversation about empaths. It'll be really fun. And again, we will be also doing our podcast, the Tiff and Jack Show podcast on iTunes. Will be around this as well. We'll have a little deeper conversation, a little looser around the edges, because we do an explicit rating on that show.
Callie, it's so good to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
I love you both.
Thank you.
See you guys next week.
We love you.
Bye-bye.